One of the things that really, really helped me is when I would get a new job, I wouldn't increase my expenses. I would keep my expenses the same, and I would follow the budget spreadsheet where, like, if I give myself $100 of fund money per week, I didn't change that to $200 a week when I was making $20K more. I kept it at 100. And so it allowed me to be able to save more.
Yeah.
And so with the mixture of having good credit and then now having more extra money because I'm earning a higher salary and I'm not spending it all, that's how I was able to pay off my student loans. What's up, y'all?
I'm Lauren.
And I'm Adrian.
And this is the Two Mics,
Two Glasses podcast,
where two best friends discuss business, ownership, and life. Hey, girl.
Hey, girl.
What's been going on with you?
I don't know. Your baby shower.
Baby
so stuff. Preparing for baby.
Oh, my goodness.
Hearing about baby.
All the time. I'm sorry if you're annoyed by it.
No, it's cute.
It's like stuck in... I just feel so pregnant right now. Everything hurts.
Is it?
Well, it's like, it's just heavy. You're heavy. So it's like your joints hurt. You're like stretching too.
Does your entire body like feel heavy, or is it like you feel kind of like...
It's just like getting up.
Tip over, like...
It's like getting up, sitting down, like getting out of bed. It's just you feel heavy. But like if I'm just sitting there, my back will start hurting, but not all, I don't know. It depends on the person, but you definitely start feeling pregnant. Like, all right, can't walk long, doing the dishes. You like, dang, I need like a high chair to do stuff. I wish I did.
Wait, why you need a high chair?
So you just sit. Because your back, like if we stand too long, your back be hurting, your pelvis hurts, like everything.
Oh,
it's just uncomfortable, but. Baby shower was so amazing. Thank you.
Yes, baby showers times 2.
I know. I feel so loved. Shout out to all the committees. You know who you are. Love you guys.
Yes, it was a labor of love.
I felt loved. I felt, it was just a really positive day.
Yeah. Yeah, it was just so beautiful. Like the decor that you guys, I wasn't really a decor person, so you guys did that.
The decor committee.
The decor committee did their thing.
Yeah.
I did my thing on the food committee, and I made my rum punch.
Yeah, that I could not drink.
It was empty too. It was like
it got drank the whole thing.
That and the sorrel and your mom's sorrel both got drank up. So I'm like, I guess they liked it because I filled the whole thing just with rum punch.
We had a very Jamaican baby shower with the beef patties and jerk chicken, rum punch and sorrel. Oh.
It all came together.
We just needed a little more soca.
Yeah.
But you know.
Well, the music, it was like we never got there. We never got to like the party part. Because I had some soca on my playlist, but we didn't even go through the whole playlist. Because then we had to change it to the
that's why you don't put an end time. See, I be trying to tell y'all. Okay, anyway. But yeah, I guess that was what the weekend was. It was a tiring day, but it was like so enjoyable.
Yeah.
Oh, I love you.
I love you too, Bill. But yeah, so that's my life.
Mine
too. I guess your life right now.
Yep.
My life is your life right now.
Now we're
living through my friends.
We're just like, trying to get the room together. The house is a war zone. It's just stuff everywhere, but it is a blessing. So it's like not too much to complain about, but I am like a little anxious because I need to get stuff done. And I just, what I would say to moms, if you're newly pregnant or getting pregnant, like please maximize your second trimester, because right when I hit 7 months, it was like you just felt tired, more tired. You just felt like heavier. You felt the growth. The baby grows a lot. Like she's like 5 pounds or so right now.
In the third trimester?
Womb. Well, they grow really fast, so they'll get heavy.
Oh.
And then you'll be heavy and you feel it. And you feel the widening of all the things that are preparing your body to do what it needs to do.
You feel it happening.
Yes. It's like moving. Things are moving. Things are adjusting. And you kind of feel that pain a little bit.
Yeah.
So I would say maximize your second trimester because you feel really good. second trimester, you're like, oh, I'm not sick anymore, and I'm not huge yet, so I still kind of feel like myself. You
so
might
that's
be a
when
little
you should
tired.
get the baby room together.
Yes,
the second
do not
trimester.
wait. I mean, sometimes you wait for the baby shower because you get a lot of stuff. But it's like if you can, anything you can do to prepare before you hit like 8, because right now I'm like 8.5, almost 8.5 months. And when you get there, you're just like, it gets real. And apparently, from all my friends, it gets worse. So
Oh, man.
what I'm hearing is it gets harder. So like, if you can use 4 to 6 to really get as much in place as possible, do that. Because this third trimester thing is for the birds, for real. But at least I'm still able to get a little bit of sleep.
Good advice.
That's the advice.
From the mommy to be.
Yeah.
So, what are we talking about today?
Today we are talking about, I thought you were singing the song.
Can you pay my bills? Can you pay my telephone bills? Can you pay my bill? I gotta get the lyrics. I don't know.
Yo,
short-term
never
memory
know
on
the
0. I don't think you do. So you and me are through.
Boom, cat.
So bills, right?
Bills, debt, repayment.
Yeah.
Just like all of our experiences with that, how we prepared to go into entrepreneurship when both of us had debt.
Yeah.
You were a little more responsible than I was, but
well, not everything I did was responsible, which we'll talk about today.
We shall talk. But, how dealing with debt as an entrepreneur, dealing with debt as a person in corporate is very different. I think there are strategies to use debt to your advantage as an entrepreneur that we don't always like to take advantage of in our personal finance lives. But I think that we have both kind of had experiences where we've had to use debt to our advantage, or for me, got in trouble overusing debt.
Yeah.
To go on vacation. So
yeah. I think just in general, like personal finance, budgeting, all of that plays a big part in your preparation for entrepreneurship. So we just wanted to be more transparent with y'all about our journey with that, and hopefully you will learn some helpful advice. So
and avoid the pitfalls.
Yes.
But what are we drinking?
Yes, so because you're preggers still, we are drinking Giesen New Sparkling Brut. So this is a non-alcoholic wine.
Is it Brut or Brut?
Brut. I don't know. I guess.
Is it Brut or
I never
Brut?
knew how to spell it. How to
say it?
Brut.
Honestly, I don't either.
Is it French? Brut. Brut.
I don't,
I don't know.
I don't know.
But it's basically like a champagne. So
Champagne is French.
Oh,
So maybe Brut is
champagne.
Champagne, yeah.
Yeah. So let's see what this is talking about.
Right.
Oh.
Smells dry.
It smelled good to me initially. It smelled real. It's definitely sour, but
Be good for mimosa.
yeah, I'm like I think this is one that I could continue
will keep drinking?
Yeah.
Because it does kind of taste like a Brut. I
This
also
is-
think it'd be really good with like a mimosa.
Yeah.
Yeah, what's it called? Not dry, virgin mimosa. I don't know.
Oh, I was like a mimosa.
What do you call a non-alcoholic mimosa?
Yeah,
The
maybe
drink,
like
mocktail.
a virgin. Oh, a mimosa mocktail.
Yeah, it'd be great for a mimosa mocktail.
Yeah.
Or like a little grenadine in it. It'd be real good. It's a little dry, but it's not bad. It does taste like a Brut.
Yeah, and I can taste the grape too. It kind of tastes like a sour white grape juice with bubbles.
And it's only 100 calories per bottle.
Right. So go in. That's a good thing.
That's
you
what.
know?
It's
No
non-alcoholic.
hangover, and you low cal.
Yeah.
So
yeah, you're losing my weight with all these alcoholic, non-alcoholic drinks.
my trainer thanks you. Because I'm already drinking, but the fact that I'm not drinking while we do our pods right now is positively impacting my fitness.
I feel bad because it feels like previous to being pregnant, I negatively impacted your fitness because I was the one you were always drinking with.
But I was drinking anyway. I was just drinking wine with you. I was drinking old fashions.
2 bottles.
On other days.
It's true. Okay.
So yeah, it's like an all or nothing. I really need to just give up alcohol for a while, but it's very difficult.
I don't want to do that. Anyway.
I don't want to either. Anyway.
So
one day when I'm pregnant.
Reggie goes, "Thank you for being my accountability partner this dry January."
This is one of our good friends.
I'm like,
did you even know he was doing the dry January?
I did, but I didn't even call him or anything. I just wasn't drinking.
Was he being sarcastic?
He was obviously. But
he
it was
really
hilarious.
Excited about that he did dry January. This year in particular, it seemed like dry January was like a thing, like it was like a brand new thing or something. But everybody was
very popular.
Talking about,
I don't know. It used to be Daniel fast, but I guess it's dry January now.
Yeah,
I don't know.
But anyway, okay.
Anywho,
so
not bad though. Not bad if you like Brut.
Yeah,
it's not horrible.
I'm gonna drink this, and I may drink another glass. So
okay, girl.
That's a thumb up. 1 thumb up.
I'm here. I'm like, it's cool.
It's not quite 2, but it's a 1. If I
had some
drinking,
juice, this would be hitting.
It would. And it's cute. Juice. Like you could bring that bottle somewhere and actually looks like
it does look like a bottle. It's cute.
Yeah. So this one I actually got from Whole Foods.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if it's like a regional thing or what, but the fact that it was in Whole Foods. So if you shop at Whole Foods, you can go.
You might be able to find it.
Yeah. All right. So I'm trying to think where we should even start with this debt conversation. I think for us to start, we need to start way
how did
back.
you accumulate the debt?
Yeah. Let's go way back. The Black Street. Yeah. No, baby. So I guess maybe freshman year, is that far back enough? Or did you have any debt, anything going to high school?
I probably started, no, I didn't have high school. Probably started around my junior, senior
of college.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because I feel like once you turn 18, especially when you go to college, that's when everything is like a go. Like you're going to get credit card applications or offers, and it's like you're legally an adult.
And they definitely prey on that. So, for the youngins, don't fall for it.
Yeah.
Don't fall for them credit card ads. They're going to come to your house. It's going to have your name on it. You're going to feel real grown. Don't do it.
Yeah. So for your freshman year or just early college, what's your experience of having your first bank account? How did that even, come about?
I got my first bank account literally because Hampton had the Bank of America ATM. Mm-hmm. So my mom was like, "We're going to Bank of America." Real convenient. Yeah, exactly. The ATM was at the bookstore, and that's back when we were paying. We had to pay stuff like checks a lot, not cash, but it wasn't as electronic as things are now. So my mom and I got a joint account, so she was on it, and because she was basically the one putting money in it. I didn't have nothing, no money. I only had like summer jobs in high school and continuing to college with summer jobs, so I didn't even have like a ton of money coming in. But that was the first time I had a bank account, and I remember we moved off campus pretty early. So we moved, I would say, the second semester of our sophomore year. So like 2000.
You want to give your age? Well, they probably know our ages at this point.
We already been talking about how old we are. But 2000 whatever, when we were
in the 2000s.
We were sophomores, like the middle, the middle you take your winter break.
Yeah.
Like we moved to the harbors.
Where did you live first semester?
I was at Du Bois.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
So y'all were like, get me the hell out.
Girl. Because I had to like do this whole thing, trying to convince my parents to get me to move out. So we moved off of campus pretty early, but it's because my like freshman roommate, like one of my best friends at the time, like not at the time, currently, but she was not able, I think she wasn't able to get housing or something. So like first semester she had found housing off campus, but that I was still on campus and I had a new roommate. And then we were going in on this apartment. We had decided, I want to say that semester, and I had to like convince my parents to let me live in an apartment. They were like,
too. I had a PowerPoint.
You had a presentation.
Yeah. All of DACA, we had PowerPoints.
Really?
And then we all presented it
to
our parents.
That's
and
so funny.
shared what the responses were.
When did you go? You went junior year or?
Yeah, I was junior year, so I think I was petitioning sophomore year.
Yes. So we did the same thing, had a petition, but then also there was a girl named Lauryn in the 5-year MBA program. Mm-hmm. So we had the same name, we were in the same program. I feel like she said that she would talk to mom and dad for me.
Oh wow!
So she talked to my parents.
Did she know them, or she was just being nice?
I don't even remember how that, because I didn't know her that well because we were in the same program. So we were in LAP together and stuff. But I don't even remember how. I think maybe they were there, and maybe she overheard us or something. Mm-hmm. But she was like, "Well, I'm a 5-year MBA major too," and her name was Lauryn, so it was already like a. And she was just telling them how she was able to still stay on top of her schoolwork.
Yeah.
And she was like, it's just so convenient. It's mostly students, so it's pretty safe. It's not like it's outsiders.
Yeah, the Harbors is like literally, they considered it off campus, but it's literally like across the street from the library. It was literally on campus. Yeah. They just considered it off campus, even though it was surrounded by the campus.
Like you could get to the library.
You could walk to all your classes.
Right. And so I thank her because she's the one who kind of convinced them. She was charming my parents to let me move off campus. And I was like, it'll be cheaper. I don't need a meal plan. I don't have to pay for, you just pay for tuition.
I miss how cheap that was.
It was so cheap. It was like $6.99 for a two-bedroom,
two bath, crazy.
With and a washer dryer. Well, actually, we bought, this is so off top, but my mom ended up buying us a washer dryer.
Oh, wow.
Instead of paying the $50, because I think it's like $50 a month to rent it.
Yeah.
She's like, by the time y'all graduate, y'all would have paid for 2 washer dryers. She just bought it. So we had the washer dryer. I mean, it was pretty nice living.
It was nice.
For college.
Yeah. I feel like it was nicer than some places have I lived? I don't know if it's nicer than where I've lived post, but some other people's places I see, it was nicer. It was pretty nice. It was pretty spacious, too.
Oh, I don't know who you were shading, but that was funny. That's hilarious. But anyway, the point is, having those responsibilities, you're paying rent now. I started overdrafting my account because, you're just not as, I was mostly responsible. I was really good at school, but sometimes you just don't remember like, oh, this bill's coming out, or oh, this thing is coming out, and you miscalculate. Mm-hmm. And I would do that like occasionally, and then we'll get like $35 per overdraft charge. So then
that started once you moved to the apartment.
That kind of started when we moved, when I started having bills like on campus. You don't have a lot of bills. Sometimes you eat out, but really the credit thing started when I was overdrafting, and my mama was looking like, girl, what are you doing? So sometimes I would call Bank of America to try to get the overdraft fees off, because it'd be like, let's say it's a weekend, right? And you just go to, you go to Walmart, you get some pizza, whatever, and you swipe. Every swipe is $35 charge. Jeez. Overdraft.
How are they even letting you continue to swipe when you're already overdraft?
Because they're predatory, girl. That's why. They're like, oh, your purchase will go through, honey, but we want to charge you $35.
Now they be declining. Like if I have had it go through if I had some money in there and then it went negative. But like if you had negative or you had zero, it's declining now.
That's for the best. I wish it declined me, because then I wouldn't have to pay all these $35 charges. But I would call Bank of America like, hey, can you help me with this out? And, I would come up with some sob story. Oh, would you mind helping me out? And most of the time they would help a little bit, but it only works so many times. So my mom was like, you know what? We're just going to get you this credit card attached to the account. And if you overdraft, it'll protect you, but you need to pay it off. Like, don't get in trouble with that. So she was like trying to help me learn, but also like giving a protection where I'm not getting all these fees. And that's the first time I had the credit card. So once I got the credit card, that's kind of how things started off. Ooh. Not intentionally being irresponsible, but, things would come up. Like, I had that old Cadillac, and if the Cadillac went out,
charge it
to the car. I had to get brakes for the Cadillac. Charge it to the car, because I didn't have any income coming in except for like summer internships. So my summer internships were pretty good. They would help me pay off debt. But like during the year, I might have had I had one work study at Hampton, And I was bad at the job because I was just like going there and talking to my friends that worked there. It was like at the HRT bus station.
Doing what?
I don't remember. Clearly, I don't know. I just know I had spreadsheets open. I was helping calculate something. I don't remember. To me, I think I was doing like data analytics work. We're supposed to be. But my friend from the band used to work. He used to drive a bus during school.
I think I remember.
You know, I don't know if you remember him, but he always had like 4 jobs. He was Jamaican. He always had money and jobs during college. I don't know if he did any schoolwork, but he always had a job. He had a nice car and everything, and he was driving the bus for the city. And I would always see him there, so I would just be like talking to him, not working. I was a terrible employee.
So basically, you started off okay for the most part, but then you started overdrafting once you were managing your own finances, and then you got a credit card, and then the credit card started amounting a balance.
Yes.
Oh, and fees?
No, the credit card would just amount a balance not because of the overdraft thing, but I got better with managing my money for sure. But when emergencies would come up, you know, my parents were very supportive, but like they weren't rich where they could just bankroll my life. I couldn't just be like, here's my credit card statement, pay it off that wasn't available to me. But
and they were probably trying to teach you a lesson
like, well, you racked this up, baby girl, so maybe be more responsible. But like, you know, I wasn't like putting vacation on my credit card yet. That was more my 20s type of thing. But I was like using it when things came up that I just didn't have the money for it and had to get it taken care of. So do what you had to do. And then refund check would come and you need to pay it off and keep it moving. But that was kind of my first experience with getting the credit card and kind of learning some fiscal responsibility when it came to my credit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. My experience was, I guess, a little bit different. I started off pretty good. So I'll say my mom is like the budget queen. Like she was the personal finance queen. Like, so she always really was talking about it a lot to me. And my close family member, my father, was not as great at the money thing. So like my mom, you know, they were married, they're still married to this day, but like it was like the dichotomy of my dad, you know, kind of just spending or whatever a lot, and then my mom like trying to manage her finances. So I've always looked up to my mom, love her so much, and so a lot of what she was teaching me, I absorbed.
Held on to.
Yeah, so she did things even that I didn't even know at the time that have helped me now financially. So one thing she helped me with was when I got my first job in high school, senior year of high school, we went and opened like a teen bank account at Bank of America. So I was still in Maryland, and so I had that, and whenever I got paid, it would go into that account. So then I go to college and they had Bank of America there. So it was like super easy to just maintain the same account that we had already started. And I didn't learn this until years later, but she had opened a credit card or added me to one of her credit cards when I was like in high school, like maybe early high school, or maybe even middle school. She never gave me the card or anything like that, but I was like a authorized, sign on it. And so it started building my credit. And she was using the card regularly. So it started building my credit without me even knowing. So my credit was probably pretty good actually in college, even though I didn't have any credit cards.
That's a great tip to do, like parents. And like, okay, so there's two parts of this, because sometimes I've heard of parents using their kids' credit and ruining it.
Yeah.
But when you use your kids' credit or like put them on your card.
Don't use their credit.
Put them on your card.
Yeah.
With their social and build their credit without them knowing can give you a huge leg up.
Yeah.
Once you graduate and are trying to get an apartment or trying to, just do those adult things that nowadays you cannot do without good credit. Like, even if it's getting a job, they check your credit and stuff. When you get a job and you have bad credit, sometimes you might not get that job. So That is fantastic advice. Shout out to your mom.
Yeah, it was really great. I didn't even really know what was going on, but I just remember always like starting off whenever it came to like needing credit or applying for credit, that they would be like, "Oh, this looks pretty good," and I'm like, "It does." Okay.
Yeah.
Like, and I had no idea why it was looking good because I wasn't doing anything with credit.
Because think about the stuff you need right after college. A car, maybe, your apartment. Typically, you have no credit after
And remember,
school.
I bought a condo like a year
like,
after I
really
graduated from school. So,
and that's probably
my
a
credit was
testament
good
to
enough.
her helping you with that.
Yeah. So that was a good start.
Yeah.
And I don't really remember what she has said about credit cards, but and I think so when we were in school, especially freshman year, there would be like the pizza place, J.C. Penney, like all these different like vendors would come to campus or come somewhere near where they would access us, and they would say, they would offer us something yummy or appealing. So like they may offer you a full pizza, which at the time was like a big deal. Looking back at it now, it's like crazy.
Free pizza. But
I don't even know that they use the language credit card. Like they were just making it seem so easy. You weren't doing nothing. So I feel like I did it at least once or twice where I opened something. I was like, one of the things I remember we would do was put fake information. So like switch up your social a little bit on the application and stuff.
What if it was somebody else's?
I don't know.
Hopefully
but they found me.
Match.
They found me because I found on my credit report later, like kind of the fake information or my misspelled name was still on my credit report. But I did do that.
Shoot.
Luckily, I actually never used the credit cards
That's
that I
good.
got. So I know some other people who did it and used the credit cards and then were amounting debt.
Oh no!
So
For a pizza.
I know.
That
At the
sucks.
time, you know, we were so stupid. Like you really, as we are now, like in our 30s, that frontal cortex not fully developed is like
That's a
so
real
real.
thing.
It
That's
was
a
so
real
real because our judgment and stuff was
Shoddy.
like
It was questionable.
we were very questionable. Yes.
Now that I think about it, I did have a lot of store credit cards.
Did you? Yeah.
Probably from junior, senior year. Like, I remember having, I've had a Macy's card for years. What's the one? Oh, it's not Nordstrom. It was something down south where we would get
start
like
with
gowns, like
or
Bloomingdale's.
Dillard's.
Dillard's. I did have a Dillard's card. I definitely had a Dillard's card. Because I feel like we were getting Alpha Cab outfits. And I was putting it on the
Oh my
credit card.
God.
And they're like, if you get the credit card, you get 20% off your
Oh my
purchase. I'm like, oh
God.
yeah, give me that credit
Yeah.
card.
I remember our friend Crystal, she was working at J.C. Penney pretty early. Like, I can't remember if she started interning there or what in college, but she got some perk if she could get enough credit card applications in. So we were all signed up for the J.C. Penney credit card. We all had a J.C. Penney card.
Crystal setting us up. I hope she got her target though, her goals.
Yeah, I think
She
so.
probably
She
did.
did well when she was there, yeah. But yeah, so long story short, so that was the beginning for me. And I didn't start working in college until like junior, senior year. But I did work every summer because I was still working that summer job at IKEA that I had started in high school.
Oh, the one you.
Yeah, I almost got
You got
fired.
fired.
I almost got fired, yes. But before I almost got fired, I worked there for 3 years. So every summer before I started getting like the professional internship, so I think it was like going into my freshman year, going into my sophomore year, and maybe even going into my junior year, I was working there, and I just have always kind of been good with money. So I was saving like crazy. So I would save like $2,000. I basically save everything that I earn, and I would use that money as my spending money throughout the year. So it would go in that bank account, and then when I was spending, I was using the Bank of America debit card.
Of course.
So yeah.
Of
so
course,
that's what
you're
I did.
responsible with your summer job money.
I'm not good at everything, but one thing I was good at was managing my money.
I didn't spend all my money. I do remember, in particular, my father remembers this too because, so my grandmother, R.I.P. Grandma Pratt, she was in Baltimore. She was like really bougie. And the first time I had gone to like Ruth Chris Steakhouse was in Baltimore, like that really nice location. Like they have that one in particular is a very nice, Ruth Chris. So she took us there, and she would take us there on special occasions. And then there was one time where my dad and I came down to visit my grandmother, and I was working at Prudential for my internship, and it was a very good hourly rate. It was like $25 an hour. So I was like, oh, nice. For a summer internship, that was pretty high pay.
Yeah.
So we get there, and I was like, oh, Dad, I'll pay the bill. And he was like, what? And I think it was like junior year, senior year, something
fancy.
Like that. It's he was like, I will never forget the first time you paid for dinner. Because normally, you come home from college, you like, all right, I'm ready to be pampered. Pamper me, pay for my things. Please, I don't want to pay for anything.
Yeah,
we broke. I come home to do laundry. And he was just so excited and proud of that moment.
That's sweet. How did you have the money to do that?
From the internship.
Oh, from the internship. Okay.
Oh, yeah, definitely. That's what I was doing, my internship money. I was balling out at Ruth Chris Steakhouse.
It was for the fam.
I got the filet shrimp and crab cake combo. Like,
$100 plate.
I might have got like a beverage. I don't know if I was old enough to get a cocktail, but we was balling out at Ruth Chris.
So fast forward to us like coming to graduation and stuff.
Yeah.
What was your financial
situation
going on?
Yeah. I was really blessed to have gotten a job right out of college. So, because we graduated around the downturn, that big crash of 2008. So, Jesus Christ, I told our age again. Sorry. But I remember right after I started working at Bath and Body Works, again, horrible employee. I was like doing the worst things. I was good, but then like if I wanted to take off and they wouldn't let me take off, I'd just be like acting like I forgot my shift, and I don't know how I didn't get fired. But
oh my gosh,
it was terrible.
So this is post college.
This was like, this was the summer before I started at KPMG. So, I had had an internship at KPMG after. So I did Prudential. Then the next summer I did KPMG, and then through that internship they offered me a position full time after college in Philly. So that summer before, I was still in my apartment down in the Harbors. And I think like after the summer, I worked that summer at Bath and Body Works. I also like did the ministers conference and things like that. So it was like a kind of a free, nice summer. And then we would start work for KPMG like in October. Oh, okay. So it was a pretty late start. And then I moved home with my grandmother. So it was like that summer I was able to kind of make money and keep my bills and expenses down and do anything too crazy. But then I started working, and when you start working after your school is done and you graduate, your student loans kick in like
immediately. Yes.
As soon as they can charge you, they will charge you. And the thing is I had federal loans, but I also had some private. So there was this like program through New Jersey State, I think it was state, called NJ Class, or I don't know if it was a state thing, but it said NJ Class. I thought it was some sort of state program. I don't know. But the interest rate was so high. It was not a great loan though. And they required their money on time, immediately. I was really blessed to be living with my grandmother, and I wasn't like paying a large amount in like living expenses. I was just really able to save, but also get used to paying that bill because it was pretty high.
Was she charging you?
I mean, technically she was charging me, but would I pay her is the question.
She wasn't enforcing.
I mean, she would complain to my mom about me, but she never said anything to me directly. I did eventually like start trying to pay her more frequently, and it was not a lot that she was asking of me. It was really bad, but I mean, I was keeping her house clean, and I would clean up after her, and like make sure her bathroom and stuff was clean in her house. So I was like trying to do my part. It wasn't just like a complete freeloader. It's like a freeloader, just like a minimal freeloader.
Okay.
But I would like try to clean up and keep my stuff clean, and then also clean the whole house.
Oh, okay. So you were a big help.
Yeah, I was trying to. She was a little older. She was still driving and stuff then, so she was a little independent. But like, I'm sure she appreciated it.
Yeah. And I feel like as we've gotten older and understand more what older people really are going through at these elderly ages, like that probably helped more than you even knew.
Yeah, except I mean, my grandma and I had battles as we lived together because she didn't like turn the heat on, and it get cold in New Jersey. It's like a different type of cold than here. Okay, it's like frigid.
She's the first older woman I ever heard of that didn't like heat.
Well, she liked heat because she had on like 4 or 5 layers of clothes. She had on like 2 pair of pants. She put on a robe. She'd be having her hand gloves. She'd be sitting at her computer playing poker. And I was sitting there freezing, like going to bed with a sweatsuit on and stuff. Oof. I was like, Grandma, turn the heat on. She was like, I'm going to fix the income. This is the Jamaican one. So she is not trying to pay for nothing. So
power to her. That's so funny though, because so now that I live with my family, so my parents keep the house pretty warm. Like I feel like it's regularly on like 80, like pretty warm.
80.
It's a big house though, and they haven't like redone the windows, so there's some of it is
the draft
escaping.
Is coming in.
But every single day, my grandma says, "Is the heat even on? It's so cold."
Oh,
and we're like, Grandma, put a blanket on. I shouldn't have to have all these heavy weights on me. And so literally every single day, like clockwork, especially when the sun goes down, she is complaining about the heat. And then I hear her and my mom through the wall go back and forth because it's expensive to heat like a big house. Yes. Yeah. But yeah, that's why I'm surprised.
It's just a lot. Luckily, I got to live with my grandma for some time, and it allowed me to like get used to paying that debt off until I moved down to DC and got a higher paying job. And then I had my own apartment. I had to really, really figure out like money. And that's probably when I started racking up the most debt, was like on my own. I didn't want to ask my parents for that much, but my first job down here is probably when I started. I was in the city. I was with young adults. I found, you guys again, like my travel crew. And so the credit card was just like, oh, we going to Jamaica? Okay.
Oh, man.
Oh, we going to get drinks? Okay.
Did you pay off the credit cards from college at that point, or did you still have a balance?
No, I still had a balance, and that was probably the card I was using the most. Like, I didn't have multiple cards. I didn't have, like, the card strategy that we kind of do now. I just had that card. Yeah, I had that one card that was, I would use it, pay some of it off, or get it down. I would get bonuses at work for my second job. So, when I got a nice bonus, like, oh, okay, let me pay off some of the debt. And let me pay for a trip or something. Not saving at all. But, in the future, what really helped me was I was always contributing to my 401k. And it was like, they would match up to 6%. So I would give 6%. I would max out how much they would match. And that really came in handy later in life when I was trying to move a certain way.
Yeah. How many years did you do that for? Like, were you contributing?
Since I started, like I contributed at my first job, and then when I moved jobs, I rolled it into the new account, and I just kept contributing. Like, even if I couldn't do anything else, like there were employee stock plans that I wish I had gotten into earlier, but didn't because I just didn't have enough discretionary income to take advantage of those programs. But as much as I could, I would get the high deductible medical plan, so I didn't go to the doctor that often, so that would be really cheap. And then I would make sure that I put 6% into my 401k.
So you were doing it. I remember you just seemed like you had a lot that was in your 401k by the time you were did the entrepreneur. So you had done it consistently, I think, for at least 12 years.
Yeah. Well, since 2009, so more than that. But I would say the first job, I don't know if I was completely, I think I did match, because I always got that advice from my mom to be like, whatever they say they're going to match, make sure you go up to that percent, very least. If you, and you know what I would say to add on to that is, if you can do more, because
more than the match.
Yeah. And honestly, I don't know if 401k, like if you have an IRA option, I would do that, because if you do like the time value of money, I'm not good to my present tense of, what is it? future value of money type of thing, if you do those calculations, you're going to be paying way more in taxes when you take out your 401k, take out of your 401k as a senior citizen, because of the future value of that money is going to be so much higher. Yeah. Like, money seems to only, I guess, devalue. So in the future, things are going to be inflated. So what you pay is going to be higher. And so to me, what I've learned, I guess, is it makes more sense to have an IRA. Even though you're putting that money in after tax, it's like you're avoiding having to pay such a large amount of taxes. Like, so you're paying your taxes now in present tense value of money, and that means you're paying less taxes than you would in the future, because money only increases in value thus far, unless we have some sort of huge depression, which we don't want. We don't know what the future holds, but at this point, it seems to be more advantageous to pay your taxes now, because it will cost you less to pay your taxes now than in the future.
Okay.
So IRAs to me would have been a better tool, but I didn't know that back then.
So like, once you max out their match, then whatever, if you wanted to invest more than that, you would have gone to IRA. Yeah. Okay. That makes sense. When I was at my first job, so for me, I'm sure you're enjoying this episode, but we wanted to quickly pop in to let you know about the cool swag we're wearing today. AMW Apparel is a line of inspirational and entrepreneurial clothing for those looking to stand out and make a statement to their following. We provide comfortable and high-quality t-shirts, sweatshirts, tank tops, and more. Enter code 2 mics 2 glasses, which is the number 2, MICS, the number 2 again, GLASSES, with no spaces, for 10% off your first order at shopwithamw.com. Link in the description. We appreciate your support. When I was at my first job, so for me, we graduated like May 10th or something, and I was working by May 31st. Like, it was like real quick.
You didn't get no break.
No break. It was very fast. But I was living at home, so I moved back home with my parents, and they were charging me rent, but not as much as it would have been to have an apartment. And my student loans were definitely in payment mode, so I was paying them. I was like on a 20-year payment plan or whatever they give
It's like
you.
a mortgage, right?
I know, it's really crazy.
35-year payment plan.
It had like no end in sight, but I was just doing it. I had my finances, I guess, to a place where I could afford it, but I don't really feel like I was like saving hardly anything. I didn't really have that much extra, or did I? Because then I did have a down payment.
When you were living with your parents, you probably had a little extra.
Yeah. So somewhere in that, I was, I think I was like at a normal place where a lot of people were getting out of college. I might have had a little bit less student loan debt, but at a pretty regular rate. And so about a year after I moved in with them, I started, less than that. I started looking for my own place, and the DMV is hella expensive, as we all know. So again, at the advisement of my mom, I started looking at places I could buy versus rent, because I knew that I probably could get more space for a lower cost, and it was just a better long-term investment. Even if I'm paying the same thing I would have paid to an apartment, at least it's an investment into a mortgage. So that's what I did, and I was able to get a pretty good deal in a not so great town, but it was okay enough for me at the time, and it was centrally located. It was centrally located to everything I wanted to do, and it was still like 10-15 minutes from my parents' house. So I bought that with a down payment and an FHA loan. I didn't have like a huge down payment though.
Well, FHA I think allows you to do 5%.
Yeah, I think I was even less. I might have been at like 3% or something.
Nice.
But also the place wasn't that expensive. I bought it for like 110. 2-bedroom, 2-bath condo, and it's because I was in a not a super desirable city. Location, but it was okay enough for me. Like I didn't really have any major issues until later on.
Until the roof fell in.
But that was like over 10 years later.
And they I think they took care of it, right?
Yeah, they did take care. It was more like inconveniences, you know?
Yes, yeah.
So I think that really helped me financially because, having a place that I was paying that amount, I was only paying like, I think my mortgage was $800 a month.
Wow.
And then the condo fee was kind of high. Condo fee was like $300 or $400, so I was paying like $1,200 or $1,300. The most I ever paid there was $1,300 a month.
That's really good.
So that helped me a lot with saving. But I like my credit card, and I had good credit because of my mama. So I was ordering credit cards. I was swiping. I was, I like to shop sometimes. So I was shopping. I was traveling. And so my credit cards and stuff were, going up and down and whatever.
Up and down.
Yes.
That's what it is.
But when did I start getting really serious? I started getting really serious about my finances when I would get new jobs and when I would get more money. So I got laid off 3 times, but each time that I got laid off, I was able to get another job and eventually make more money. So one of the things that really, really helped me is when I would get a new job, I wouldn't increase my expenses. I would keep my expenses the same, and I would budget so I have a budget spreadsheet, which I'll explain how I do it in a minute, but I would follow the budget spreadsheet where if I give myself $100 of fun money per week, I didn't change that to $200 a week when I was making $20K more. I kept it at 100. And so it allowed me to be able to save more.
Yeah.
And so with the mixture of having good credit and then now having more extra money because I'm earning a higher salary and I'm not spending it all, that's how I was able to pay off my student loans. So I had a really good credit card. Another thing you should really look into if you are using credit cards, I don't want to say that I'm petitioning for everybody to get a credit card, but you can use credit cards to your advantage if you know what you're doing.
If you're really good with it.
Yeah, if you know what you're doing.
Yeah.
And if you are responsible and have, restraint.
Correct.
It's not free money.
Right. Yeah.
It may cost you more than you even bought it for. So be very careful.
Especially if you don't keep in the parameter of the rules of the card.
Right.
Yes.
So before I get into the credit card thing, and I know we need to wrap up soon, but quickly I want to talk about my budget spreadsheet, which I've sent to multiple friends now. Basically what I did to help me manage my spending, because it's very easy. You got a debit card, you swipe it here, you swipe in there, you this, that, you see the check come into your account and you're like, oh, I got money today. And you're just spending. So I definitely know what it's like. But what I do is I have two or three different accounts at that time. So I have the checking account where I have the checking account, which is my debit card is connected to. So that's my swiping. And then I have another checking account, which I just call the second checking. And then I have my savings. So what I would do is I would have my checks deposit into my second account, which is where my bills came from. And so I would do the automatic, deductions, and I would budget a certain amount of money each month as my fun money, my grocery money, if I was saving, some savings amount, and anything I could automate, I will automate. And so I basically would only transfer the fun money that was for that week or for those 2 weeks into the account that I had a debit card to. And once it was out, it was out. And so I had the essential expenses that maybe were in another account. So I still knew I had some money for groceries, but that fun money, that's where anytime we ate out or drank out, happy hour, I consider that fun money. I didn't consider that grocery.
It's not groceries.
Sustenance.
Eating out is not groceries.
Right. So if I had 200 allocated, 200 is gone, I'm like, I ain't got the money no more.
Right.
I really need to cut
up.
back. Yeah. So that's really what I did to
you
practice
profit firsted your life.
I did. And I forgot who invented it, but it was a 50-30-20 method. So 50% of your expenses should be for housing, necessities to live, your bills. So when you think about your check, once taxes are taken out, you shouldn't be spending more than 50% on your living expenses. And then I think the 30%, what was the 30%?
For savings.
Was it 30 or 20?
Maybe it was for, the 20 was savings.
Yeah. So I think the 20%, try and save 20%. And then the 30%, I think was maybe like the spending, like not necessary, but I think that was maybe where the fun money came.
Maybe the 30 was, the fun money was 20 and the, one of the two.
Yeah. I think the 30, but I feel like the 30 was like where the groceries and stuff came out.
Funds.
Yeah. Because you can kind of ebb and flow that. I feel like with the housing expenses, like you can't ebb and flow your electricity bill or your mortgage that much. So you can look it up. We probably didn't say 100% right, but 50, 30, 20.
Yes.
Follow that method.
Save 20.
Yeah.
Just remember that part at least.
Yeah. And I think the biggest thing that helped me was not allowing myself access to
that money,
that full check. Yeah.
That it makes a lot of sense. And I started to do stuff like that where I would save in an account that was very hard to access the cash. Like it didn't have its own card. I would always have to transfer it somewhere else, and it would take like 4 or 5 days or something. So it's like if I needed the money quickly, like I wouldn't get it in time for what I wanted to do. So I still actually have that account, and I use it specifically like to pay my mortgage, because I know once the money's there, it's like hard to come back, because it doesn't have I don't really have an active card attached to it. So I think like those strategies are really helpful for personal finance and
the designation from your check. Like you can contact HR and say, I want you to auto deposit $200 from each check into this specific account. You can have multiple accounts, you tell them. Yeah. So if you want to make sure you save,
that's exactly what I did.
Yeah, have them auto put it in that other account.
Yep. That's exactly what I did, because I think I used that account for really important bills, and then the rest of it would stay in that savings. So I could not touch it. So that's a good tip. I think if I fast forward to like debt and debt repayment strategies that I have taken on over the years, it's been many different things. So my pastor had a program called D-Free. So it's like no debt, no delinquencies, no, there's another D. Debt, delinquency.
I'm like, deposit?
No, you don't want no deposits. It's like no debt, no delinquency, no
bankruptcy declaration.
Oh my God. That's hilarious. I don't remember the third D, but it's D-Free, and it's all about like personal finance. So it's a good tool. So I remember when I was like at a certain point, like I was still really young, and my pastor used to keep in touch with us in college, and like, you know, periodically we would hear from like, how are you doing? And I remember one time I was just talking about debt and stuff, and in relation to his program, and he was like, oh, there's a couple things you can do. You can take a loan from yourself from your 401k and then pay it back. So it's like you're not taking a loan from anybody else, and you might be paying interest, but it's ultimately paying yourself the interest. So if you take your 401k loan to pay off your debt, you know, make sure you pay that off, but it's like, you know, a very benign type of loan. I've also taken a personal loan to pay off my debt, because the personal loan was a significantly lower interest rate than the credit card. So credit cards, you get 20, 23, 24, 25, even maybe 30% interest. And it's like you feel like you'll never pay it off. Right. So I have also used a personal loan that was like in the single digits, because I did have good credit. When you have credit cards that you pay on time, it does help your credit score, especially if you're able to keep your available credit over 70%. So if I have available credit of $10,000 and my credit card use, like the balance is under $3,000, a lot of times that will be positive to your credit score. So quick tip, if you do have credit cards that seem to be at a higher balance, just ask for a balance increase. So like not that you should use that balance, but it will automatically kind of give you a boost to your credit score, because they'll say, okay, we're going to give you more available credit, and it'll make it look like that percentage that your balance is smaller. So having that smaller use of your total credit is what's really important to the credit score folks.
Yeah, and I would say every year
ask for
all
an
your
increase.
credits, for an increase. See what they say.
Yeah, the worst they can say is no, and it doesn't really hit your credit score for asking. So just ask, because that always is going to positively impact your credit score. So I would ask for and then also I would use like the personal loan. I've used the credit card, and then the last thing I did, which I think is what you did for your student loans, was use a 0%. Like so credit cards have programs
like the balance transfers.
Yeah, where you can balance transfer to a card that would be 0% interest for like an extended period of time. And I think this only applies if you have pretty decent credit. So I don't know if you could do it if your credit's jacked. It might not work. But if you have like a decent credit score between at least 700 maybe.
Yeah, I don't know, but if you are eligible for it, you should already be receiving some offers.
Yeah,
email or
from like Wells Fargo.
Yeah, from your existing credit cards talking about an offer.
We have a
balance transfer offer. Yeah,
0% balance transfer offer. So I would, I've done that a few times where I would take the balances from those really high interest rates that seem impossible to pay off and put it onto the zero balance card. But you have to be really, really disciplined with making sure you pay it off within that limit of time, or all the interest will come back and bite you. It'll come back onto that card. That hasn't happened to me. Praise the Lord, that hasn't happened. But
it happened to me before.
Oh no, that's like thousands of dollars in interest that would come back. So those are kind of the strategies I took to pay off credit card debt in particular. Yeah. When it came to my student loan debt, I'm still paying off my student loans, unfortunately. I did try to pay it off as much as I could before leaving corporate. But what I was able to do was to consolidate them to a low account using like Earnest.
What's that?
Earnest is a company that does student loan consolidation. And so I was like, let me take a look at, because I had like, with the federal loans, you may have like 5 or 6 individual loans. And then with NJ Class, I had a few different loans under one account. So it's like, some of them could be like 8% interest, some were lower. So the ones that were higher than what was offered by this company to consolidate, I put into that loan. And the ones that were lower, I left. And those were mostly federal, which I was hoping would be forgiven, but Joe didn't come through for me. But no. So I just consolidated through that avenue, and the payment is still kind of high, but it was like doable.
Yeah,
to where I can
manageable or predictable.
Predictable, where I can get it down. Because you're right, those loans, sometimes you may have a variable interest rate, and that means that they can just change it whenever they want to. So those loans, put it into one, you have one interest rate, you have one payment, you have one place that you're going to pay it, and it just helps it to dwindle down. So hopefully, God willing, nothing crazy happens. That should be paid off for me in 2025.
Yay.
Oh,
this
Lord.
year.
I know. I thought
Amazing.
I'd never pay off my student loans. Like, I would say 10 years ago, it just seemed like something that was a part of my life, like taxes.
Yeah.
Like, I was just like, okay, this is just a bill I have to always pay because it's never going to be paid off.
I just remember talking to different people. They're in their 50s and they're in their 60s, and they were still paying student loan. I was
oh, my gosh, wild.
I don't want that to be me.
50s and 60s?
I don't
but
need
life
no
be
40-year
lifing.
plan.
Life be like
yeah, you never know. No judgment to it. But yeah, if you can, like, one of the things that really like always annoyed me about student loans was it just seemed like the balance never went down. Like you'd be put, you know, you weren't.
Because you're paying for interest. You're not paying the principal.
So I'm like, I'm paying like $400, $500 a month, and this balance like doesn't seem to go down. So what I did to pay off my student loan, so the year before I went full time as an entrepreneur, I knew I needed to get real aggressive with getting my debt as low as possible. And my biggest debt at that time was my student loan. So I have a credit card called Capital One Venture Rewards card, which that card is specifically, you already have to have good credit to qualify for it. And so I had that credit card. It had at
really
least
good on points.
Yeah, at least a 20K, limit on it. And I had about 20K that was left on my student loan balance. So I was able to transfer the balance from like the federal loan, whatever, to that credit card. So essentially the federal loan, they say, oh, you're paid in full now, but I have the balance on the credit card, but I had a no interest balance transfer for 12 months.
Wow.
So
the Capital One?
Yeah.
Wow.
So I had that offer, and so I was like, okay, 12 months, 20 divided by 12 is whatever.
How much is going to cost per month?
Right, and the timing of that was the timing of me getting another job and getting another pay increase. So I just started throwing whatever I had extra onto it. I was probably throwing about $2,000 a month to it, which was probably my increase from getting paid in the 70s to the 90s. And then I was able to pay that off. So that was that was the biggest thing. Like, I wish my finances were where they were then. Now I've accrued business debt, with some of it is personal debt, but that's another story for another day. But that is one thing I recommend. And one more final thing before I am done talking is I did find the 50-30-20 rule. So it says the 50-30-20 budget rule states that you should spend up to 50% of your after-tax income on needs and obligations that you must have or must do. So housing, whatever else, those type of bills.
Electric.
Yeah, but your Netflix should not be in that 50.
But that's a necessity.
It's not a necessity. Must have.
Sweet Magnolias just came back out.
Nah. The remaining half should dedicate 20% to savings, leaving 30% to be spent on things you want but don't necessarily need. Netflix. And for me, also, I think I put groceries in the 30%. I don't know. Or maybe it wasn't.
Groceries.
Actually, I don't know if it was the groceries. I think it was maybe the fun money.
Eating out.
Yeah. So that's just something you can follow. Comment below if you have questions about it, and we'll go in more detail.
Yeah, or if you want to, maybe we should have like a little opt-in if you want to get the
spreadsheet.
Oh,
yeah. We can make that our first opt-in.
Oh.
Get our template.
Share your template with the world.
Yeah. So we will have a link soon in the
description box.
Especially on YouTube.
Yeah. I would say like the last thing, like the little cherry on top is, debt is just like it's become a part of life. And I think the way that you see it and the way that you use it to your advantage can kind of direct the trajectory of your finances. So there are so many ways to use debt to your advantage, because if we're honest, the whole credit thing is a scam anyway. A scam for you to use credit so that banks could get interest money from you.
Right.
And
you like
we're just
never
giving
pay
them
it
free
off.
money.
Yeah. If you look at your statements for the credit cards, they're like, if you pay the minimum balance for whatever, you'll pay this off in 10 years.
Right.
Like something crazy.
Like it's like that's attractive. They're like excited. And you'll be paying us $50,000 in interest.
Right.
So it's like free money for them because they're really not doing anything but like holding it. So I think like understanding how to use that to your advantage to get the things that you want or need is like the best thing you can do. So I think the way that businesses use debt and cash, like if you look at large corporations, they really use a lot of debt to pay for things, and they keep their cash in accounts that bear high interest or other financial instruments that allow them to accrue more cash. So like, for example, in my old job was a real estate company. They didn't use cash really to pay for development projects or construction or anything. They were using debt to do that because they had a really good rating to get debt. So that's why it's like still good to have good credit, because you can use the debt to pay for the things that you need for your business.
But they could afford, if they had to pay cash, could they afford it?
I would say yes, they were very conservative with cash. So they would be able to pay off debt. But if they were have all their debt called at the same time, I don't know. I don't know. I'm not saying to go that aggressive. What I'm saying is, though, to think about like, if I pay this off, if I use my debt to pay for this. So I'll give you an example. We had a client that was looking to build out a storefront. And we were like, I don't think it makes sense for you to build out a storefront with cash, because you're going to need that cash to ensure that your storefront can run without immediate revenue. So the best thing to do, because they had another storefront. So they had another storefront where they were making revenue, like an existing one, to take care of the bills for that and take care of the bills for the company overall. But in building the new one, they had cash. But if you use all your cash, you're not as credit worthy. You know what I mean? Like, having cash helps with getting credit or other types of funding, things that can help you to expand your business when you don't have it. So if you use the debt to your advantage in that situation, you'll still have your cash and you'll be able to still kind of move the way you need to, without feeling that squeeze of not having enough. Because if you try to get debt after your cash is gone, it's going to be a lot harder. So let's say, like, we're building out this storefront. I use all my cash to build out the storefront. Now I need to pay people who are there because this store hasn't yet turned a profit. I need to either have pre-sales for that store, or I need to have, something that's going to generate revenue for it, because it's not going to be immediately. It's not going to be immediate. So using debt to build it out so you have the cash to run operations when you may be still trying to build your revenue.
That's
there.
once they have a business already.
Yeah, if you already have a business. It made more sense to use debt in that situation than cash. Yeah. So, like, think about that. If you're brand new, maybe I wouldn't take out a ton of debt. Yeah. But once you get to a certain point in your business, it kind of makes sense sometimes to use that debt to your advantage so that you can get to the next level, still have your cash, still have that rainy day fund. You're not completely bankrupting yourself to get to the next level. Not everybody can get an investor. Not everybody can get, like, grants and things like that. Right. So using debt to your advantage in that way would be helpful, but it has to be strategic. It cannot be on a whim. It has to be well thought out.
Yeah. And you got to hustle to, like, if you don't have that cash on hand to pay it back, you better hustle so that you can get it. And if you can't, then you probably don't need to spend again until you can figure it out. Because you don't want to build interest and, all that on the credit card. Like, these people that are doing that,
they have a plan.
Yeah.
They have ways to make that cash back. Very, like, thought out, successful ways. It's not like, I'm just starting and figuring out if this business will work and I put a bunch of debt. No, do not do that. But if you have a well thought out plan, a working business plan where you are already making money and you're looking to expand, sometimes it makes sense to use debt for that expansion, and using that to your benefit. From a personal perspective, I think using credit cards to get what you want out of life is a good strategy. So this is what I mean by that. When you have good credit and you can get decent credit cards, you get points with these cards.
That's how I was paying for my trips.
Prior to me leaving corporate, I had set up a strategy where I was paying almost all of my household bills on a credit card, and I would pay it off in full at the end of the month. Or I would pay it off in full after the statement came out, but before it would charge me interest.
So you had the money, you had the cash, but you wanted the points.
Yes. And when you accumulate points every month, like if you're paying thousands in bills, like, I was, or hundreds, you get a lot of points accumulated. And once you get to a certain point, you don't have to pay for vacation anymore, because you can just get flights on your card. You can get tickets to concerts and a lot of other benefits with really good cards that have point systems. So, I actually learned that from a coworker who was like, oh, you should get this credit card and just pay everything on your credit card. Everything you can, because I don't think I could pay my rent on my credit card. But if I could,
as much as you can. What I would do is I would offer to pay for group trips. And everybody would pay me. You. So I'm like, okay, like we bought this house, it's $6,000. Like, okay,
you get all those points,
right? And I'm collecting their money before the charge is even hitting my card. But eventually, it's gonna hit my card, and
and Adrian don't play about getting paid back. I'll tell you that. She'd be like, you owe me this $5.23.
Yeah.
For when we went to get coffee. Like, she's going to get her money back. You better Zelle it.
I learned it from my mama. I learned it from my mama.
She said, I don't care how you get my cash back to me, but it better get there.
All right. I think that's a good ending point.
It is a good ending point. So yes, use it to your advantage, y'all. Like figure out the loopholes and get, because they benefiting off of us, so we need to benefit off of them. The man is who them is, but that doesn't have to be like a downer.
Yeah, have it work for you.
Yes. So that's what we toasting to?
I don't know. Does it sound okay as a toast?
Make things work for you, for your benefit.
Yes.
Cheers to that.
Cheers.